Welcome back, MTL Sports here. We're on episode 119. NFL Week 5 is almost over. We got one game tonight, Chiefs versus Saints on ESPN, and the Manning cast is back for those that partake in that. But we're going to forego that and just recap the other games of Week 5 of this NFL season, guys. Sorry about the camera issues, but and then also a big UFC pay-per-view event. UFC 308 or 307, I'm sorry. Pierre versus Roundtree. Fantastic final fight of the night. Other fights, not so much. We have our thoughts on that. So, with all that being said, guys, stay tuned. Week 5 plus recaps these games. Let's start with the 1 o'clock games. Actually, no, there was a London game, Lawrence. Early, I don't know if you caught this one early in the morning, 9:30. I did. Woke my behind up to see Aaron Rodgers throw a pick six. I don't think I've seen one of those in a while. I think it's like his first multi-interception game in 3-4 years for Mr. Rodgers. He did not play well.
Since his first 3 interception game.
Oh, his first 3 interception game?
No, he's had 6 of them in his career. It's the first one since 2017.
I mean, he did not play well. If you take away the pick six, then what? It's probably a tighter game. But he, honestly, I mean, my only thoughts about this one, Lawrence, is Aaron Rodgers has only played well in one game, and it was against the Patriots. So I'm not... their defense is decent, but I'm not really putting much stock in that. But other than that, I feel like they're in the same spot as last year. And I know it's still early; it's only week 5, but this is not a good sign.
Oh, it's definitely not a good sign. I mean, I woke up, ran some errands, had this on in my ear, in my ear set, and honestly, the Jets lost to themselves. They had so many penalties. Like every single game, they have so many penalties. Offensively, they're just not very good. Just straight up. First time Wilson's looked really good the whole season, but then no one else stepped up when Wilson was, except for Conklin, the tight end. And it just seems like if Breece Hall doesn't get going, which he hasn't almost pretty much every game all season, the offense doesn't get going. So I think, honestly, it has something to do with the O-line. The O-line's just not clicking.
Yeah, the O-line, from what I've seen thus far, is not much better than last season. I mean, maybe Aaron Rodgers gets an extra second or two, but, they can't establish the run game. And that affects everything, right? You get this super good, running back, Breece Hall, one of the most dynamic running backs in fantasy. He was top 3 in almost every draft, right? So that just says how much potential he has in stats and stuff like that, and he just not as look good. This team does not look good, so it's pretty disappointing. Very disappointing.
I mean, so to get into the weekend as a whole, you asked me to do give me 3 games from last week that I thought was going to be good. So I made it into a parlay and I hit. It was a great hit. I don't know if anyone caught on the show, but I said Packers, I said Redskins, and I said Broncos. Those are the teams I was confident in. And honestly, those are the only teams that I picked all day that pretty much won. I'm in a pick'em league where I picked with some of my buddies and everything. I did not do well. I had probably one of the worst weeks since week 1. Pretty much lost almost every game except for those 3. Silly me, I thought Carolina would have been a little better. They're so ass. I was just so biased. I thought the Bengals had to win. There's nothing they could do but win. They don't have a choice. They let me down. I said the Dolphins don't have anyone. Tyler Huntley isn't that great. Let me go with the Patriots. And honestly, the Patriots got screwed because if you go back to that game, there's a touchdown that's called incomplete. But if you watch the replay, you know how people get their toes in bounds and everything?
Yeah.
He clearly got his front foot in bounds as he completes the catch. and then his back foot goes out of bounds. But if my front balls of my feet go down, which aka are my toes as well, then that's a catch. So how they're overturning it and not calling it a touchdown is crazy. So that game should be flagged and reviewed because the Patriots therefore should have won that game. Other than that, I mean, I've been kind of high on the Cardinals. I was a little saddened after last week, the whooping they got from Washington. I decided to go back to them, cover the spread. That was a great show. And honestly, the Packers, they should have won by better. I mean, the pick six kind of hurt them. Honestly, the Rams, that score is very lenient because they were not as close as that score says they were. And honestly, I could have had an amazing end of the night if the Steelers could have just wrapped that up. But nonetheless, they could not. But like I told my homeboy here, 1 o'clock games. Outside the first half, I was watching Carolina. I was watching the Bengals. And I went to bed at halftime. I told him that I went to bed at halftime. Started the third quarter. I said, nope, I can't watch Carolina anymore. They were doing so bad, they made me not want to watch anything. So I just took quick Z's. No need to even discuss that team anymore this season. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to do anything. That offense it's all right, but it has to do too much because that defense, is very, very bad.
Well, talking about bad defenses, let's dive into this Ravens-Bengals game. It's a very good game. Probably the game of the week, honestly, besides the Cardinals and 49ers. But high-scoring game. Both teams could not stop each other. I thought they had this one in the bag, Lawrence. We were up, 38-28 with a little bit left. And then I think they get the ball back. And they score because of that Lamar play where he fumbled the snap. I think it was Sam Hubbard couldn't bring him down, that's embarrassing. You just getting stiff arm.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson's a big man, but he ain't that damn big, right?
He straight stiff armed him to the ground almost.
And, he's scrambling. And then before he throws, gets out of bounds, he throws it likely as just like a Hail Mary almost, and then he just comes up with it. I mean, it's just the summary of the season is just like not only piss poor effort by, I think, the defense, but just whatever strategies or points of emphasis that they must have is just not working. I was in a live stream earlier today and from one of the Locked On Bengals guys, and he was having some live stream, and I was just going back and forth with him, and he was agreeing with a lot of my points. And one thing I said was, whatever this new point of emphasis for the defense of just trying to strip players every single play instead of just bringing them down, I feel like I've seen it like every 3 out of 4 plays, like they just trying to rip the ball out instead of bringing people down. I don't know why, old man Lou has them doing this, but it's like causing them to like not get like, instead of it could be like 2nd and 9, but because they're trying to strip the ball, it's like 2nd and 6. It's like, bro, what are we doing here? I don't know if you've seen that, Lawrence, but that's one thing I've caught up on, and it's just pissing me off.
I haven't really noticed it because my team just can't tackle for shit. So
I mean, neither can we, but
we can't even tell if they're trying to strip it or they're just horrible at tackling. I mean, honestly, what I've noticed is a lot of teams, they're just doing like, there's like this transition to, I guess I want to say like safeties as linebackers. Like we're trying to like get these
hybrid position almost.
Yeah, like what is it? Michael Thomas? Not Michael Thomas. What's it? Malcolm Jenkins type. Like, everybody wants their own Malcolm Jenkins. So like, the reason why Malcolm Jenkins was like the only one in the league for the longest time in that role, and he was like only certain teams could utilize it, and if you had him, you could do it. That's just my opinion, because you just see people constantly trying to do it. Like, oh man, we're just gonna keep. And when they get these jumbo packages, the fact that like people are running these jumbo packages, and you see like 2 or 3 DBs in the game, it's like, why? You know what they're doing. And honestly, like you can keep one corner in there, but you got to keep it the most hard hitting corner possible. Because when these people are going jumbo packages, you know what they're doing. Like when the Ravens are going jumbo package. At the end of the day, you know what's about to go down. It's either Henry downhill or it's Lamar scramble.
Mm-hmm.
You keep contain and you stuff the middle. That's all you do. You keep contain and stuff the middle. You don't really need that corner out there. But, I mean, I don't understand the point of keeping them out there. If they throw it, you just say, good job. Like, you hope someone caught onto it, but you got to just say good job because that's not what you do to win games. It's just not.
Yeah, especially like you said against a team like the Ravens, you know they're gonna run the ball. They got the jumbo package out. You see the fullback out. You see the extra tight end out. You know why is old man Lou's have the dime and nickel package out most of the time? Send in the extra D lineman. Send in the extra linebacker. Who cares if Lamar beats you by pass? That's what you want. That's how the Chiefs won. They wanted Lamar to throw the ball, right?
Yeah.
Just stop the run, take what they do best, take that away, and then, and that's what we did the first half. Just after the first drive, we said, no, we're not going to run the ball anymore. And that's when we got back into the game, and then they just went away from it. I don't understand why. It's baffling. It's very baffling.
It is very baffling. I've said it for multiple games against multiple teams. But, people constantly do the same thing every week in and week out. Interesting note. NFL's about to go start up, and there's no Taylor Swift at the game right now. Not one picture of her. So we might be seeing a Saints upset, and you heard it here first, boys.
I said take the Saints spread. They've been having a bunch of close games. Nonetheless, I mean, I ain't got too much more to say about the Ravens Bengals. The Bengals. And one last thing. I mean, Zach Taylor's play calling is awful. You run the ball three straight times after that fumble in overtime, and I didn't even watch overtime because I was so upset. I just went off and I drove off somewhere. I was so upset, and then I'm just like listening on the radio, and then I hear he runs three run plays in a row, and then the botch snap, and then the botch kick, and it's moments like that where you just like, why do we have this head coach? Like, it's like why some head coaches have jobs you just don't know, and this is one of those situations where. You're paying a guy $55 million, Lawrence, and you refuse to give him the ball, even though the first play apparently was a pass play, but Joe checked out of it. The two other plays, like, just give, one out of two plays, at least give Joe the ball. Like, whether it's a quick screen, or a quick fade back shoulder, something that, can't possibly be picked off, a very little chance, but, Chase or Higgins can still make a play. Like, do something like that. Don't be super conservative and run the ball 3 times. I mean, playing scared is how you lose, right? If you play scared, you probably will end up making a mistake anyway. Might as well be aggressive and then just lose. Either you win or lose by your best player. I mean, that's the mentality I've always had.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I think you also, when you game plan, it doesn't, and it's not the end all be all. Something I noticed with Taylor is like for instance, like the Chiefs game, his game plan worked, and then it proceeded to work the rest of the game. And then they watch a game against the Ravens. Okay, your game plan worked, and then they started coming back. Change it up, fix it up, change it. You got to do something. Don't stick to the same thing you've been doing because they've caught on. And then that was kind of the end of the game. Like, they made the comeback. You got to overtime. They knew everything you wanted to do. They stopped everything that you were going to do. And then you had no answer because you're still trying to run the same thing. Because it worked earlier, and it's not working anymore. But you think they're going to go back to it, and then they're not going back to it.
Yeah. Could have been said better. Moving on, Browns, Commanders. Probably the only other game I watched the Bills Texans, so I'll hit on that in a little bit, but Browns Commanders. Now the first half was kind of, or I always say the first quarter really was just kind of poop. It was just both teams going back and forth. Not too much scoring besides the B-Rob touchdown he had in the first quarter. But then the Commanders just broke it out. I think the Browns just, I don't know what's wrong with the Browns, Lawrence. They are just, I thought because they had some offensive linemen come back, and the Commanders defense is not that good. It's decent, not that good. They might have some success, but They did not. I don't know
I
what's
just don't
going on
think
there.
I don't think Deshaun Watson's what he used to be anymore. I think like someone leaves the NFL for a few years, they're
Yeah.
not the same player when they come back, especially like in a tough sport like the NFL. And like you also got to think about it, like all his credibility, everything he had going for him, all his I guess let's say swag about him. It's all gone.
Goodwill.
Nobody
Yeah.
likes you. Everyone hates you. Everybody wants to kill you. Everyone plays harder because it's you.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a curse to them. And I think at this point in time, you just might as well go to Jameis, because at least there's one thing you know with Jameis. He's going to gun it. And it's going to be like a shootout. And you're going to put up points.
Yeah.
And at least you know that the Browns defense has the ability to stop teams from scoring points if the offense can just stay on the field for a little bit.
Yeah, you can't defense. I mean, that's probably part of it, Lawrence. Why Commanders? I mean, the offense is prolific, but Browns defense is still pretty good. It just probably got tired, and you can't expect them to perform if they just out in the field 40, 40 plus minutes a game. I mean, that's not plausible. Bills Texans, the last 1 o'clock game, and then I honestly only watched the bits and parts of the 49ers Cardinals, but Bills Texans, I thought it was a great game. I thought both quarterbacks played well. I mean, Josh Allen had some Josh Allen things happen in the first half. That one fumble that was overturned because I guess he stepped out of bounds first before he threw it back in or whatever the fuck he was trying to do. I don't know if you've seen that, but he had that play, and then I saw him hit the turf hard, and apparently he was knocked out for a little bit, but they still let him play. I thought they had like a spotter specifically to stop those situations, but I guess not, right?
He had the blue medical tent.
Okay. They still let him play. Yeah, I mean, the Bills started playing good teams, and then you see how bad. I mean, they're not bad, but you see how much they're going to struggle. Like if Josh Allen isn't perfect, it's going to look like this. I thought the first couple wins were just against, average to bad teams, and he looked good. And then he starts playing the Ravens and the Texans, two good teams, and it's like, okay, I don't know if they have enough to get the job done. I think you're asking a lot for Coleman and Kincaid and James Cook to kind of carry the load for Josh Allen.
I think that's a just comment, but I also think it's a little unfair. If you look at the last two games, they're playing at the Ravens, at the Texans, so they've been on the road for two straight games. The Bills game was just one of those fluke. You got your ass beat. You just weren't mentally prepared. I guess basically you went on the road for the first time because that was their first road game. So you went on the road for the first time and you got slapped in the mouth early. And you didn't know how to recover. And pretty much you lost your best wide receiver because Shakir is gone. So I think it really bodes the question, because you look over here on the stats line, Bills receiving, Shakir is not one catch because he's gone, he's hurt. And I think that puts pressure on them, because if this Devontae Adams thing is going down and you just lost Shakir, you have to be putting your name in the hat for the Devontae Adams trade. Because at this point, you don't have a choice. Like, you gotta have something. Like, you just straight up gotta.
Especially before your in-division rival gets him.
Yes. I mean, there's just nothing on the wide receiver end. If Shakir's out and, they don't have a slot guy, there's just nothing. They need something. And at that point, you're just your screen pass running game. It's not the end-all be-all, not the way to play. So I think they're going to be in the runnings for wide receivers. I mean, don't be shocked if Carolina gives up Deontay Johnson to the Bills at this point in time, because Carolina knows that they're just so bad and they're just going to have to load up on players for the future. So
or
Deontay Johnson is having a good year. So,
or if the Browns start a fire sale and Cooper goes,
or Cooper can go. I mean, there's going to be some teams that are going to be selling, and if the Bills have to be first team in the building saying, hey, what wide receivers can I take? Which of these good ones can I take? Which good wide receiver can I have? Like, they got to be front and center in the conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I guess Let's pivot to that. Devontae Adams wants to be traded. What sooner than later, right? And the Raiders look like they're just. I
Well,
mean,
they're done with
I don't
it.
think AP lost the locker room, but Minshew. I mean, the whole thing with Minshew just playing bad. I think it's not helping the situation. So I think you got to get the malcontent out before he just makes the cancer even bigger. I think you just got to trade him this week, probably. Don't you think so? To whoever the highest bidder is. I know Bill Belichick came on Pat's show today, and he thinks a second round pick is probably too high. I don't know how you feel about that, Lawrence.
I mean, if I'm changing your team's future, you better give me a second round pick. I think a second round pick is okay. I mean, because someone's gonna have to spend a little extra to get him. Because at this point in time, what are the Raiders have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I can make this guy suffer and just make him sit on the bench.
I guess maybe. I mean, if you're not going to give me a second, then maybe give me 2 threes. I think I would be fine. If you give me 2 threes and a decent player, I feel like I'd be fine. If you don't want to give up a second,
Yeah.
but I mean, the Bills, the Jets, definitely. The Cowboys said they don't have the money for it, but they definitely could use it, right? Um,
I think the Cowboys are gonna need defense. I
the
think that's what they're gonna have
Steelers,
to
the
settle
Steelers. I
on.
feel like after this past game, could make a case they need another wide receiver other than Pickens. 'Cause I feel like Pickens is hit or miss.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see if he gets moved this week or maybe they push it into next week. But I feel like it's gonna happen sooner than later. UFC. Let's get into that. I mean, I didn't really watch the rest of the games. I was too depressed, Lawrence. I don't know. I know you said you fell asleep, but I
I
just
mean,
started doing other things.
yeah. I mean, so I watched the Broncos game. I thought the Broncos did a good job controlling that game. They were down early, and then they pretty much put the boot to the face. So, good job on the Broncos. I felt confident about that game. Um, my buddy had asked me if I had any locks for his um, survivor pool this week, and I said, "Take the Broncos, man. It's just a guarantee." He went with the Seahawks, because everyone was taking the Seahawks, and I said that's a trap, the biggest trap there is.
Yep.
Seahawks, I was like, listen, you can never trust a Geno Smith led team. Just end of the day, you can't. So, I was right. You lost. The Cardinals, like I said earlier, always been high on them. I'm proud of what they did. But I didn't really watch the Cardinals game because I was watching the Packers close it out against the Rams, and I was getting ready to go out. No, I wasn't getting ready to go out. I was getting ready for what was I doing? I don't know. Finally, I wanted to watch something, and I knew that the game was going to get postponed or delayed for
Yeah, the
Sunday
weather
Night
delay.
Football. So we watched. I forgot what we watched. Dang. Wish he was in here to tell me. I forgot. It was a Halloween movie. One of those cute ones, Anyways, if you want to move on to UFC, I would love to move on to UFC and talk about how pissed off I was because I was on the wrong side. So I thought there was multiple fights that kind of sucked, or there was like sussiness to it. But
Some questionable judging, I guess we could
yeah,
say.
the judges just were bad. Dana said the judges were bad. If anyone took my parlay, it died early because Esperanza got she lost in the second fight of the night. But in reality, if you watch that fight, everyone knows Esperanza won that. And, looking back on it, they made sure that Pennington won because they knew they were going to fuck over her wifey at the end of the day, start of the next fight. But Esperanza, she did more in 2 out of the 3 rounds than Pennington did. And Pennington did a lot of holding, which we had a problem. Like, everyone was calling it out, and everyone was saying there's a problem with, like, the Merab fight against O'Malley. Like, you can't have this kind of a fight. It's boring. Nobody wants to watch it. And then you have multiple fights. Also, another thing, there's just too many women fights on the card. Not hating on women, not saying they're bad at fighting. It's just so boring to know that it's going to a decision. There's nothing you're going to do about it. And pretty much in the main event, all the fights you knew were going to go to decision. pretty much, unless the Kevin Holland fight was not going to. And Kevin Holland pretty much either broke a rib or I think he pulled an oblique in his abdomen.
I don't know. You could kind of see the rib almost poking out. It was. I don't know. I thought I could see the rib kind of like it pressed against the skin. It looked like that hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he either broke his. He might have broken his rib, which caused his oblique to get ripped. But when the injury first happened, like he was on the ground, it clearly showed like he didn't get punched or anything. So it looked like his body was being stretched too far, and I just think he tore something in his abdomen.
Yeah.
And you knew once he went to that corner and he never sat down, he wasn't finishing the fight.
Yeah.
And you know Kevin Holland will finish a fight if he can. So, it was just a boring main event. That's to say the least. Until the main event, the main event really did try to make up for what was wronged earlier. But the fact that Jose Aldo beat Mario Bautista in a guaranteed 2 rounds. And then some guy ruled the fight 30-27 to Bautista. And it's just like, who in the right mind are you? What fight did you watch? Like, what fight? Like, Aldo had this man squirming on the ground for a whole round. And this man had 11 for 11 takedown defense. Like, in what world did he not do anything? And yeah, he controlled him for 7 minutes, but he's just pushing him against the fence, and there's no offense coming after the grappling. So, like, how can you be scored for any points? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Yep. There's got to be some editing to it. We said it last week, but it doesn't matter because they're not changing it, and it actually just got worse. And then the co-main event. Now, I will say that was a very boring co-main event. Pennington and Pena was so boring to watch.
Yes.
But in my honest opinion, I thought Pena lost. I thought Pennington did way more. If you look at that little stat that we were showing right there, Pena's whole entire body's red. Like, the whole body's red. Pena literally got dropped like 3 times. And still somehow she wins. Like, we know at the end of the day it doesn't really matter who wins that fight because probably Kayla Harrison's going in there and taking their belt. Is going to become the new champion. But, I mean, Kayla Harrison, she's so boring to watch. All she does is just hug you and grapple you and keep you up against the fence. And it just seems like there's too many people being rewarded for this ability to just hold you against the fence.
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest thing as a casual. I'm just like, I don't understand how people are winning. And just because they're a better wrestler or a better grappler, like, I feel like we can't reward just because you're better at somebody. You have to go earn it. So, I mean, this is coming from a casual. This is what I think. We shouldn't be rewarding people. And Dana, I mean, he's kind of alluding to it when he says, the judging's bad, the officiating's bad. He's kind of alluding to it. Now, I don't know if Dana can actually change the rules. I'm assuming he can because it's kind of... He's the boss, right? Even though there is the TKO group who owns the whole thing, but I'm assuming he can do something, right? There has to be something he can do.
I mean, I think there will be something he does at the beginning of next year, right? I think he's just gonna have to let the year play out, and he's gonna have to move forward in like the next season or whatever you want to call it. But I think Dana knows that there's stuff that needs to be changed. I think he's heard it loud and clear. And honestly, like, Dana's not... I mean, he's kind of a, not the best owner of a sport of league, I guess you could call it, ever, but...
Yeah.
He's pretty good for the fans, and he's pretty good for the fighters. I mean, he tries to give the fans the best he can give them at the end of the day. Sometimes he fucks us over, and it's like, it's so fine, it's alright. But at the end of the day, it feels like he's most of the time trying his best to give us something.
Yeah.
And I think he knows that he has to give us something for the next card. And honestly, if you look at the 308 card, it's a very exciting card. What I may say might come off controversial, but I'm super excited that there's not a freaking women's fight on that card. From top to bottom. We're just going to see people go at it. Especially it's going to be the last main event of the year. And it's,
No, there's 309, right, with John
Oh,
Jones and
that
Styopic, right?
is that before the end of the? Okay, regardless, 308. It's gonna be a fun card. Everyone's gonna go after it. Everyone's gonna go after the bonuses. That's what we want.
Hey, them Christmas bonuses might be hitting different. The last fight, I mean, the one I really paid the most attention to. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it looked like Roundtree was keeping up with Alex, but then in that fourth round, he started letting him fly, Lawrence. I mean, he beat the shit out of him,
I think it was towards
and
the third round.
yeah,
End
towards
of the
the
third.
like the halfway through the third and then into the fourth, once he knew that Roundtree was kind of tired from kind of being super aggressive early in the first 2.5 rounds, he just started letting him have it. And I said this in the group. I said they should have called the fight way earlier in the fourth because this man was a zombie. And once he started leaking really bad and he could barely move, I was like, yeah, they should probably call this fight. That man, if you guys have seen the after the fight pictures of his face, he got beat the hell up. He got beat the fuck up. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, when they told him just to wipe his nose, it was bleeding so bad. I mean, yeah, it would have been nice if they called it earlier, but because I had the fight ending in the third minute of any round.
Yeah.
He had him. I think he had him like twice in the fourth round in the third minute. He had him at least twice, dead to rights.
Yeah.
If he had just put the pressure on a little harder during it, and he just never did. So
Yeah, I mean, it was a good fight. I think it made up for all the BS in the beginning of the first couple cards, first couple of fights, but nonetheless, I enjoyed it. I think it was okay. But um other than that, I got nothing else. I know that Monday Night Football is going on, so we're gonna head on off on Wednesday or Thursday's episode, guys. We will preview week 6 NFL, and then we will start our NBA previews, training camp, and NBA preseason basketball started this past weekend, so we gotta catch up on that. But other than that, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening on Spotify. MTL Sports episode 119. We will see you guys later this week.